Hey guys, so we are now live, and I wanted to share with you something that is extremely important, and I'm waiting for a lot of you all to join in. 89% of 89% of parents fear that their child safety online, specifically on a social media page, and social media apps, according to a recent survey. Of the parents surveyed, 39% find it difficult to moderate their child's screen time. Interestingly, 24% are unsure if their child is on social media. The settings are set to private or is public. And 64% of the parents are certain that their child has a locked and private account. The reason for sharing all of these statistics is for all of us to be extremely informed parents. Kidstoppers has taken the initiative to go live with one of our favorite platforms, which is Instagram, to understand how safe is this platform for our children and what are the guidelines for parents to ensure that our kids are safe on Instagram. We are going to be going live with Tara Bedi. She's the public policy and community outreach manager for Instagram in India. Instagram has launched their parents guides for India with the aim to help our younger generation stay safe and, more importantly, educate you, the parent. Hey Tara.
Hi, how's it
Hi,
going?
so nice to see you again.
I know it's been, I was actually just looking back and trying to remember our last conversation was around this time in 2018.
Yes, absolutely. Now, this has been a really interesting session that I'm glad we're doing, because a lot of parents are very keen on finding out a lot, and I really wish that we had a little more time in sharing this with the parents. But everybody wants to know what is up with Instagram and what do parents really need to know. So, if you want to share a quick synopsis of the guidelines that you guys have.
So we've launched an updated guide. We launched one a few years ago in 2018, we just discussed. And basically, it's a guide. So it has a snapshot of all the tools and features that we've introduced to keep people to keep people safe on our platform, and especially children, because they are our most vulnerable in that sense community, and we want to make sure that we're making resources available as widely as possible. So this guide essentially details all, like I said, all the tools and features, but it also has inputs from many partners that we work with in the child safety space, including the Center for Social Research, It's Okay to Talk, Young Leaders for Active Citizenship, the India Initiative, and Cyber Peace Foundation, and one of our newer partners, which is the Suicide Prevention India Foundation. So while this guide has a lot of screenshots, it also has some of the context that partners who work and organizations who work actively on child safety and on child safety online have sort of given a little bit of context. One of the more exciting parts of this guide that I'm particularly proud of is we've created a list of tips and tricks and then questions and prompts for parents to start having those conversations with their kids about their online identities and their online presence. And the exciting thing about this is that this has been curated by a bunch of teenagers who have been part of a program that we've been running for the last 4 years called the Counter Speech Fellowship, which essentially engages, creative teens who are engaged on, issues like bullying, safety, gender equality, etc. And we mentor them so that they become sort of fellow champions for online safety on Instagram, and then influence their schools, their communities, etc. So these are tips from children who have kind of been through their teenage years, and this is guidance that they have sent out for parents to start those conversations and how to begin having a conversation, because it could be awkward. It's a good reason to be on Instagram. Many things, Mansi, many things, but I'm not a parent, so I can't say, but I have been a teenager, and despite my gray hair, I was using Instagram first. But for me, and I think for a lot of young people whom we do interact with through our programs, it's a place of learning. So a lot of people pick up amazing new skills, whether it's, in the beauty and makeup space, whether it's in the food space. I don't know if you followed Shivesh Bhatia,
Of course.
who's right. So he was 18 when he was when he like first became big on Instagram, and I'm sure others as well. But like that's a really good example of why young people should be on Instagram, right? You have this incredible talent and you're able to bring it and through it build a community of people that are like-minded or care about it, that are interested in it. Similar to that, we have a lot of young artists and illustrators. One of my favorite ones who was a teenager that we worked with was from Pune called Devanshu Maulik, who was again 17 or 18 when I first saw his feed, and I was just blown away. But again, that's a really beautiful. He's a really talented artist, and for him to be able to use Instagram as a place to learn his craft, to put his craft out there, but then also to be able to monetize it at such a young age. That's another amazing way, another sort of amazing reason to be there. And then I think another one that we've seen, I think more recently, and again through the fellowship, which is our main source because we work with kids who are 13 to 18 years old from all over the country. We've been doing it for 4 years. For every year, there's about 200 kids that we interact with through this fellowship, and they give us a very clear reason or textures to what young people are doing online. Support. The biggest one is support. For every kid that is being bullied and doesn't have a strong social circle in their school, or maybe has not the best experience at home, they find support online and they're looking for support online. So even if you have certain kinds of conditions, we've seen a huge community of support around things like vitiligo. We've seen communities of support in the mental health space for people who are just looking up, who just want to talk to somebody. And I don't know if you follow the Artidote, but that's kind of the premise with which they started. It's literally one of those places where kids were sending a message saying, I feel helpless, or I feel lost, or in some situations they were talking about taking quite drastic measures when it came to their lives. And just the idea of being able to share and have somebody listen and say, hey, we can, we're not alone in this. That idea that it's not just me, but it's a we and I belong. That's another really big sort of reason to be on Instagram, because those communities of support do exist. Yuva is another really incredible organization that we work with. They're called Yuva because youth. And what they do is, they've been going to colleges around the country and talking to young people and understanding, where is this feeling of despair coming from, or where is this feeling of lack of connectedness coming from. And I think what a lot of people are getting to is that when they're online, they're able to express themselves in a less inhibited way sometimes. But they're also able to find people who may have had a similar experience in another part of the country. And it's a sense of belonging. So there are countless reasons. I can go on and on.
Right, absolutely. I think one of the reasons that I can add, and my daughter, though my daughter is not on Instagram yet, but I think, I mean, when she browses through my personal feed and things like that, and I follow a lot of food spaces or artists and things like that, and I know that consciously she will go back to Instagram to that saved recipe and then recreate something or whatever. Or I feel like I know so many people who are who are as young as her and have started their own businesses and are part of an entrepreneurship program, and they've kind of found their customers on Instagram. So and especially during COVID, I think it became our, I'm sure you get a lot of that it's literally become your space of discovery, right? Really discovering small local artisanal players in this space, right? So it's really helped in that sense. We have a very interesting question from Parul. She asked that when do the controls and the history stay only on the phone, or can the parents have access to it?
So it's not on the phone. If you log into the phone from a different device, if you log into the app from a different device, you should be able to see all of that history. Yeah, that's the short answer.
Right, but I think I think what she meant was that simultaneously if you can literally like how you can with parental controls you can track somebody's computer, and especially because a large part of us are doing that because our kids are all online now. Would you be able to monitor the same way on Instagram?
So if you're logged into the account from two devices, you can do that.
Yeah, but not if you don't have the password.
Not if you don't.
So I think Parul, that answers. I think how I wish they had like if you're less than 18, maybe you should add that you need a parent's consent or password or something. So they, by default, the kids would have to give it to us, which they sometimes are very reluctant.
I remember someone who, like you, also runs a parenting community had shared this with me, is that she syncs her iCloud with her son. So whenever he posts something on Instagram, it automatically exports to iCloud, and that way she also gets to see what he's posting. But that could be again, but it's something that she's negotiated with her child, so it could be again a conversation.
Yeah, that's interesting. Somebody's asked, ads are being served. How do you ensure the safety of what is being served, what ad is being served to your child is appropriate?
So, one, we have a very robust, like if we have regular community standards for what we allow people to post in their posts and stories, etc., it's much more stringent when it comes to ads. So we leave very little room for interpretation with the kind of ads that you're pushing out there. We also require certain companies that sell, for example, alcohol or sort of products that aren't necessarily appropriate for young people. They're required to target their ads to an 18 plus audience just because of the nature of the product or the service that they're providing. So there is that additional layer of protection as well that will prevent your child from seeing inappropriate ads. So one thing maybe that to encourage your kids when they are signing up for accounts, maybe to mention that age so that we also know that okay, if this so and so is a teen, then maybe we're able to get ads going that way.
Which is a very important, which automatically feeds into my next question. As parents, while we unanimously love Instagram, I think there's no doubt about it, but we also know that it's built for consumption, right? So you're automatically going to consume more and more and more of it, right? So how do you, like you rightly said, how do you explain this to your kids? Because it's it's an obsession after a point in time. There's an addiction to it. So when children are battling between 13 to 18, how do you kind of explain it to them that this is it? I mean, at some point in time, you're not even battling screen time, you're battling a specific addiction. So how do you deal with that?
So, in fact, when we launched the guide last year, one of the things that was brand new then were our time spent tools and what is called your activity. And if you don't mind, I'll take a couple of minutes just to explain what it means. So we introduced a dashboard which tells you how much time you spend per day. It tells you an average amount of time per day, per week, and it really gets you to examine how much time you're spending on Instagram. Within that dashboard, you can set a reminder for yourself that maybe 30 minutes is an appropriate amount of time for you to spend on Instagram. For you, this like as Kids Talk Press, this might be a business, so maybe you're not spending 30 minutes, but you're spending 3 hours because this is service for you. So again, it's for you to understand what is enough for you and yourself, and then to set a reminder so that when that 30-minute or 3-hour mark comes, Instagram basically says, hey, it's time to take a break. You've spent 30 minutes on Instagram. So that's a really good tool. Another one, which is a very small and subliminal thing that we introduced, which I think is really helpful, is once you scroll through your feed, at some point you will see a little check mark which says you're all caught up. And this is something that we introduce so that when, let's say on Monday, I switch off at 9 p.m., and then Tuesday morning, I switch on the app and I go through it. Anything that I may have missed from the time I switched off to the time I'm currently scrolling, if I've missed that, it will show me when I've finished seeing all of that. So that feeling of missing out or the fear of missing out, that, okay, maybe I've missed out on something that my friends or people that I really care about have posted, it actually tells you that, okay, you've seen everything, now it's good, it's time to switch off. And then the third thing that we introduced within this part of the app is the ability to mute your notifications. Right. Because everyone was like, if you're trying to focus on something, your phone is blowing up with ping, it's just, you can't focus. So use that, use these tools. They've been created to give you as much control over your experience and to make it feel like this is not something that's out of your hands, but very much in your hands. So these are all good things to kind of think about, because for us, Mansi, and if I'm to be totally honest, if people are spending time on Instagram and they feel like their time is not it's not working for them, or they feel, anxious or depressed or whatever it might be that they feel as a result of spending too much time on Instagram, it's not good for us. If people are not feeling good about the time that they spend on the app, they're not going to spend time on the app and they're going to go elsewhere. So we really want to make sure and remind people that when you do come here, we hope for you that it's positive and it's inspiring and it's intentional. And these tools help you kind of build that intentionality into your experience.